massive shock to the system, and the impulse is just to jump right back out again. So you have to do it little by little. It's a prudent way of approaching it. And the way to do that is number one, is to move away from its media, is to move away from its broadcasts, because they do not represent actual reality in any way, shape or form. And the filters of those broadcasts are so at odds with what's actually happening in the world that it really kind of deters us from seeing clearly from our own filters, from our own way of looking at things. And it creates a sort of noise. So we have to decontaminate ourselves from the mainstream media. And that's a very powerful way of doing that. Not just don't watch TV, the whole thing, everything. So to move away from that noise creates a space for us to receive the real signal of reality. The only signal is the organic signal, and that does not come through the media, okay? So it's not possible to perceive clearly when you're continually force-feeding yourself with news and violence and sport and celebrity and those deceits. You have to detach from it. And a very wonderful thing happens, which is that your view of reality begins to shift to a real one. So you still see the black and white and the grey, you still see the positives and you still see the negatives. You don't detach yourself by hiding, you detach yourself by reformulating your own perceptive apparatus to say, I am going to see things as they are. I'm still going to walk through New York City, I'm still going to walk through London, I'm still going to walk through the countryside and see things as they are. But I am going to decide what is newsworthy. And I am going to decide how much attention I pay to local, national, international affairs and what is relevant and what's important. And so you can still look at whatever you want to do, but you claim the power in this respect by determining for yourself what you want to look at, what you want to put your energy into, what you want to become conscious of. When you do this, then the construct begins to disintegrate, because it tricks us into thinking that it knows what's important, and it doesn't. It does not know what is important. Only we know that. And so at an individual level, we have to claim that. We have to claim that power for ourselves, because no one else will do it for you. No one else will deliver it to you. You have to do it yourself. So it is a thing of responsibility. It's a thing of spiritual maturity, and it's a thing of conscientiousness. And some people would say it's a very moral or ethical thing to do, and it is in a way. But more importantly, it's a movement of integrity. That's what it is, a movement of integrity. And when we do that within ourselves, it touches everything around us. So everybody we see and speak with and communicate with and love and socialize with and debate with and argue with, all those people feel that integrity, and it changes the dynamic initially at that nodal level and a small level. But of course, the more people who do it, the more that infects the system with this kind of dove virus that decontaminates all this bloody negativity that we see around, because people aren't claiming their power. They're walking around in a powerless state. And when you do that, you gravitate towards doom, and it's stupid and it's completely unnecessary. So it has to start from where you stand, from your hands in front of your eyes, from when you look at yourself in the mirror each day, from when you walk down the street. That's where it begins, and it all unfolds from that moment, and everybody has the power to do that, but it begins with that claim of your own power, because we all have it. And the only trick of the construct is to con you, is to scam you that you don't have power, and you do. And you have the power not only to determine what you want to do, but fundamentally to determine what you put your consciousness upon. And if that is decided by someone else, then you forfeit that power willfully. And that is what has to change.
On the Sea Realm podcast, a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions.
That was Neil Kramer. In the middle, you heard music from Kirsten Pixton. The song was called Beads on the Wind. And it is from her new album. I think the album is out. It's called Crusade. There's one just disembodied quote from Paul Kingsnorth from the article I read at the beginning that I wanted to share with you just because it echoes something that Neil said, and I don't think that Neil had read Paul Kingsnorth. Paul Kingsnorth wrote, "Worlds are not saved by the same stories that are killing them." Let me repeat that. Worlds are not saved by the same stories that are killing them. Okay, enough serious stuff. Let me just say that April 2011 in Tennessee is beautiful. The farm in April in Tennessee is just grand. I would love for you to come and see it. In fact, there is a C-Realm listener who will be coming this weekend to take a look. It just so happens that I live in an inn. Actually, I'm moving out of the inn, but I live in a place, the Eco Village Training Center, which has an inn. And if you want to come visit, you can stay in the inn. It's very affordable. I'm around. I'll be happy to say hey and take you around, show you things. It's just worth seeing. And this brings me around to the Tennessee Renaissance Festival, which runs throughout the month of May. And I was thinking it might be neat if a group of C-Realm listeners were to attend that together, either the second or third weekend of the month. And I was also thinking that if people were to come from afar, say further than Nashville, and they needed a place to stay, that we might go to the Renaissance Festival one day and then organize a canoe trip the next day. There is the Buffalo River nearby. People on the farm regularly canoe the Buffalo River. There are outfits that will drop us off, give us the canoes, pick us up at the end of the ride. It could be a lot of fun. It wouldn't be a lot of hassle. It's something that I'm more than happy to arrange if I get enough people saying that they would be interested. And the neat thing is, what's enough? Not that many. 4 or 5, really. I'm not proposing anything huge here, just come to Central Tennessee, stay at the inn. One day we'll go to the Renaissance Festival, and one day we will canoe. It will be a lot of fun. There will be no sermons. There will be no preaching. There will be no workshops. Just people hanging out, having a good time. If you are interested in that, send me email. My email address is kmo@crealm.com. That is, of course, c-realm.com. And the C stands for consciousness, or collapse, or community, or creativity, or compassion, or any number of great things that start with C. So if you want to go to the Ren Fest, if you want to go canoeing, if you want to just have some fun fellowship with other C-Realm listeners, get in touch. Or communicate directly with the other C-Realm listeners via the Friends of the C-Realm group on Facebook. Well, I'm sure I've talked away all the time that is available to me, so let me just say that this episode and every episode of the C-Realm podcast is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 3.0 license, and it is therefore available for you to use in your own audio projects. If you do use it in such a project, let me know. Send a link, and I'll try to get some other people to see what you've done, or hear what you've done. So that is all for this installment of the C-Realm podcast. Next week, I have no clue, but it should be fun. I hope that you'll join me, and until that time, stay well.